Hello everyone, welcome to PHP Machines. In this episode, we'll create a sorting machine. First of all, let me show how this machine works. If I provide a list of numbers, for example, 3, 1, 24, 600, numbers like these, and if I select ascending and click on sort, then you can see this machine will sort these numbers from smallest to largest, right? Similarly, if I select descending and click on sort, then it will reorder the numbers from largest to smallest. Okay, so we'll create this machine today. First of all, let's understand some new concepts in PHP. So we have already seen variables in PHP. So the way to create a variable is you write dollar something like a, and you can give any value. So in this case, we created a variable a and we assigned it a value of 23. So if I print this variable, then it will print 23 because 23 is inside this variable, right? So variable is used to store any value. In PHP, there are numbers. You can store words. These are called strings. I can store a string in a variable. Similarly, I can store something like true and false. These are Boolean values. So these are different types of data, and there is another data type that is called array. So let's see how we can create array. So the way to create array in PHP is like this. You write array and then bracket open close. So now what is an array? Array is like a list. So array allows you to put in values, right? So more than one values. So I just created an array and assigned it to this variable. Now you can put multiple values in this array. So to put value in this array, you have to use array push, and then you give this variable, and then you give data, any data. In this case, I gave it a number. So what I did is in this array I added this number 4. Similarly, in the next line I add number 1. Similarly, I can add many numbers like 11, 32, 400, right? So now we have created an array, and this array contains not one value but these many values, right? So $a has these many values. So the benefit of using array is that it can store multiple values, not just one value, like we saw before, right? So now we added in these values. Now there is a way to check how many values are in this array. We have to use a function count, and then we give it the array, right? So if I just print this, okay, it shows 6 because there are 6 values in this array. So now let me add another value. Let's add 88 and let's run it. Now count function gave 7, right? So now we know how to add values in an array. We know how to count the number of values in that array. The next thing we need to know is we need to know how to access element from this array, right? So we can access element by position. If I print $a, and if I write this square bracket, and if I write something like 0, what this does is this takes out the first element from the array. So if I give 0, then it printed out 4, right? So if I need to take out this number 32, then I need to give the position. So the position is 0, 1, 2, 3. If I give here 3, then it prints out 32. uh, After that, we need to know how we can now access all the values one by one. So we need a way to iterate or loop this array, right? So in order to loop an array in PHP, we can use for each, and the syntax is we give the array and as a variable name, right? So we can write something like $val. So what this does is this goes through each element one by one and push the value in this variable. If I now print this variable, then it should print all the elements one by one, right? So let's just add in a new line so that the values print one line at a time. So we can see here it printed all the values from 4, so 4, 1, 11, 32, 4, like that. Finally, we need to know how to sort the list. Now after this, we will be able to sort our array. So our sort will change the order, right? So in order to sort our array, we need to use the sort function and sort text in an array, and we also need to give it a type. So if we search for sort w3 schools, so if we go to PHP reference and if we go to PHP array, there should be a sort function here. If we look into sort function, then we can see here it takes in an array, and then as a second parameter it takes in this type. In order to sort numbers, we need to use sort numeric. So let's add sort numeric. So now what this line does is this sorts this array, right? So if we print it, now it will print from smallest to largest. It sorted our array. And in order to sort our array in reverse order, we just use rsort function. So this will sort in reverse order, right? Okay, now using these constructs, let's now build today's machine. First of all, let me log into Infinity Free. So let's go to File Manager, and we need to go to htdocs. And let me first remove these machines that we created in our previous class. So in today's episode, we will first design the layout, design the looks, or we'll create this form, right? And later we'll add functionality. So first let's build our page, let's design our page. So let me create index.php. So we start with block type declaration. So block type HTML. HTML has head and body. Inside it we can give the page title. So let's give our page a title, and let's give something like sorting machine. Inside body, let's add a heading, and let's write sorting machine. Now let's save it. In order to access our server, this is the URL. If we go to our URL, we can see sorting machine. Now let's first style our page. So first of all, we need a background color. We can search HTML color names, and all the schools has this page that has a list of colors. We can use something like let's use this floral white color. So to add styling inside it, we need to write this style block. and inside block let's select body, and let's change the background color to this color. Let's save it and let's test it. Okay, we can see our background color has changed. Next we can also change the font style. So if we search for font website fonts in W3 Schools, then W3 Schools has the list of some fonts, default fonts. Let's use Verdana. So inside body I can write font family and give this font name. So you can see our font has changed. Now the next thing, let's center this heading. So in order to center the heading, we select the heading and we just do text align and do center. Okay. Let me do one thing. Let me put this window to the left and this one to the right, so that it will be easier to update the page. Okay, now the next thing, let's make the heading a little bit larger. To increase the size, we just do font size, and we can do something like 100 pixel, and let's just save it. Oh, okay, that's a lot larger. Let's do 40 pixels. Let's 50 pixels. Okay, that is fine. The next step, now we need to add the text area HTML form element, right? So first of all we need to create a form, and for action we need to give the name of the PHP file. So let's put sort.php, and for method it will be post. Now in order to create a text area we use text area, and we need to give rows and columns. So let's give rows 20 and columns. This creates a text area. Now let's just center. Actually if we text align inside body, then it should center align everything inside body. So let's do that. We can see our text box has been centered. Next step, let's now add our radio buttons. In order to add radio buttons we need to let's first add some new lines. So to create a radio button we use input and we give type as radio. After the button we need to give a label. So let's write as ascending, and we need another radio button, and then let's give it another label as descending. So you can see our radio buttons has appeared. After that let's add our submit button. Type first submit, and we can give the name as sort. So this will now add our button. Let's add a new line. Now let's style our button. Let's make it a little bit larger. In order to select our button we need to give it an ID. So let's give it btn ID. After that let's select our button, and let's make the font size a little bit larger, like 20 pixel. After that we can also add padding. Padding of 20 pixel and 10 pixel and 20 pixel, top and left right. After that we can change the background color to black and change the font color to white. We can also make the outline none and border none. We can change the cursor to pointer. So so what this does is if we hover over our mouse, then it changes this to hand. We can also make this button change color on over. So in order to do that, we can use something called pseudo selector. If I select the button and use the pseudo selector of hover, then we can now change the background color. So on hover, we can change the background color to, let's say, white. Now let's see what happens. If we hover, then it changes the button to white. We can change the color of the text to black. We can also give a border, slight border, 1 pixel, solid black. Okay, now let's make our text ascending and descending a little bit larger. So in order to select these, let's put them in a container div, and let's give an ID of orders. Now we can select this container, and then we can change the font size to 20 pixels. Okay, now after that we can see our numbers look very small in our text area, so we can change the font size. So let's give an ID of norms. Let's select that text area, and we can change the font size to something like 20 pixel. We can also add a little bit padding so that the numbers don't stick to the border. So now we can see the numbers are a little larger, and there is a little bit of spacing between the border and the numbers, right? So I think we are now ready to add the functionality of our machine. So right now, if I click on sort, then it says not found, right? So it says not found because it didn't find this PHP. Now after we submit this file, the data will go to this PHP file, so we need to create that PHP. So let's create our sort.php file. Okay, now first of all, to start out, let's just print out hello. Save it. Now let's click on sort. It says hello. Now in order to extract these values from the form, we need to give the form fields names. We need to give a name to text area. Let's name it numbers, and we also need to give a name and value. So we need to give let's give a name of order. The name must be same, okay, for the radio buttons, so we need to give the same name, and we also need to assign a value for each of the radio buttons. We can give a value of ASC and DESC. So now let's pull the values from these numbers and order fields. So now let's just print post. First of all, let's just print the numbers, right? So what this does is this will pull the data from this field and then just print it. So I gave 1 2 3 4 5, it prints 1 2 3 4 5. Now what happens if we print order? So the order was the name of these radio buttons, right? So if I select ascending and click sort, then it printed the value we gave for that field, right? If we select descending and click here, it prints the value we gave for this field. Now let's create our sorting machine. So the first step, let's just store these values in variables. Let me create a variable called nums, and we extract the numbers and put it in this variable. We also need to extract order, and if we echo nums and we echo order. So let's see what happens if I select ascending, and if I give these numbers, if I sort, it printed the values 1 2 3 4 5, and it printed ASC. If I select descending and sort, then it printed that, right? So we now have these values in this variable. The numbers are in this variable nums, and the ascending or descending string is in this variable order. Now what is the next step? The next step is to split this string into array of numbers. So for that we can use a function called explode in PHP. So what explode does is it explodes, it breaks a string into parts, right? So let's do that. So the way to use this function is we write explode, and then this function takes in two parameters. So first is we need to give a way to break, right, the number. So we need to break it in the new line character, and then we need to give that string, right? Okay, so why we need to break it in new line? Because we are passing this string, and this string has new line character, right? Because after each number we hit enter, so that will insert a new line character. So that is why we need to split it in new line character, and we need to give it this string, right? So that will now split this string and make an array of numbers, right? So this creates array. Now to check, let's just print what is the first element in this array, right? So I index 0. So if I click sort, it gave 12. That is correct. Now 0 1 2. Now if we want to print this number 56, then the position is 0 1 2 3. So if I give it a position of 3, then it should print 56, because the 56 is in position 3, right? So let's click sort, it printed 56. Okay, so now we have our array of numbers. The next step we need to now do is we need to check whether the user selected ascending or descending. So that information can be found from this variable. So we need to check if $order, if order is ascending, then we need to do something. What we need to do, we need to sort. So to sort an array, we use sort function. If we search for sort in W3 schools, we can see the sort function will just sort PHP. It will sort an array, right? So sort, we give it an array. So if we give sort, and now we need to give dollar numbers. Also we need to provide like we saw earlier, we need to give it the type. We need to give this sort numeric because we are sorting an array of numbers. Now let's just check. First of all, let's just complete our logic. So else if the order was DESC, then we need to now sort in reverse order. So in order to sort in reverse order, we write R sort. So this sorts this array in reverse order. Now the final step, we just need to loop and print the elements, right? So in order to loop our array, so this line will sort our array. Now we just need to go through each element and print it. We can use for each, and we can give this array numbers as a variable, and if we print that variable, and let's add in a new line as well. Let's see what happens. So if I give this list of numbers 12, 23, 43, let's put some numbers at the top. So if I select ascending and click sort, then try again. Okay, so I would like to share one tip. Sometimes our program has errors, and if we see page like this, then our program might have crashed. So in order to check our program, we can go to PHP compiler online, and let's just load a compiler here, and let's just copy our code in this block, right? Okay, now since we don't have a form, we need to just write hardcode values here, right? So let's, for order, let's just hardcode a value of ascending, and for numbers, let's just give some numbers. So let me give 3, 1, 2, and is separated by a new line character. Okay, now let's just run it and see it runs. We can see here there was indeed an error. It says in line 38 there was a mistake. Okay, and there was a mistake there. I forgot to put semicolon, right? So in this way we can find out the error. So let's correct our error. We need to put semicolon here, and let's save it. Now let's check it. Okay, now we can see our machine is functioning. It printed in ascending order, so smallest to largest. If we select descending and click sort, then it prints from largest to smallest. So the final thing now remaining is to just add the styling. To add the styling, let me just copy the index code, and let's just paste it at the top. Now we can cut this PHP block and we can put it anywhere. So here we don't need a form, so let's just put it here, and whatever this PHP block prints will be appended right outside here, right? So it will be in, right below. That's one. So now let's run our machine. Okay, so if I give it some value, if I select ascending and click sort, then we can see it, the styling has been applied. Now the final thing is, let's make the little bit larger size. So let's create a container, and let me give it an ID of result. So now we can select this ID and let's make the font size like 30 pixels. Save it. Now let's run. Now we can see the font size has been increased. So looks like our machine is complete. If I select descending, it prints in descending order. So hope this episode was helpful. Hope you have learned something. If you like this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. In the next episode, we'll create another machine, hopefully interesting and useful machine. This much for now. Thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.